Hey, how's it going, guys? Ancient Rune here, back with another Borderlands 4 build video, and today I'll be going over my Tediore Amon build called Throwing Hands. Just like in BO3, the Tediore reloads are insanely strong, but the difference is that the reloads only count as gun instead of also being grenade, or in this game, ordnance. This build is high damage with easy survivability as long as you don't blow yourself up with the reloads. This build is a little gear specific, as well as not all research on Tediore reloads has been done or discovered, so this build will definitely change over time. But a lot of research has still been done, and that was done by the amazing JoeForLong, and this build would not be possible without him. He made a video and write-up on a Tediore Rafa, which I will link in the description. Even if you don't plan on playing Rafa, you should still go watch and read, as it is very knowledgeable for Tediore. It will go a lot more in depth than I will here. You can also find a write-up of my build on Mobalytics, so if reading is more your style, you can also go there, which will be linked in the description. Don't forget to like the video and subscribe to the channel for more Borderlands 4 content, and consider becoming a member to support the channel and get videos early. Now, let's get into it. Alright, so for the guns here, really you're looking for a couple things. We just use purple Tediore, so legendaries aren't that good right now. And you can use Tediore part on other manufacturers. Like, it was found that a Stellium is pretty good with chucking. But for the most part, we are just going with Tediore manufacturer. And what you're going to be looking for the highest damage is going to be the shooting, which is just the guns that throw out like this. They can be a little hard to aim sometimes, especially with moving and flying enemies. But if you can hit it, it's going to be strong, as you can see here without a lot of buffs, already hitting over 100k. So you definitely want to look for that. And then we also have a replicator part. This will throw an extra reload. I found it really good on the shotgun for bossing if you can hit both projectiles. If not, you'll just want to go with the shooting. I've messed with shooting and replicator, and they're pretty similar. So it doesn't matter too much. You may just take a couple extra chucks, or you may just need to use a different ammo type. But really, I just use this for bossing anyways. So if you don't get the kill with all of your shotgun ammo, that's fine. I would just go to like the assault rifle, because assault rifle I find good for mobbing and single target. And then we have, with our pistol, you could go shooting or you could go homing. I found shooting to be the best on this build. Homing was just not as good damage. Maybe for like lower tier content, this could be better, but I just didn't find it as good. Like, we'll see here, 44k there, and then 3. We got 61k on that reload. Of course, that's not with all the buffs and everything, but you can see there is a good damage difference. And if you can't hit an enemy, then just having this homing here is really good. And by hitting an enemy, I mean like the mobbing, because like in bossing, you're just going to want to hit with your hard hitting stuff. But even then, it's still good having another ammo type. Sorry to win over it, but with like bossing, you're mainly looking for the shotgun. But once you run out of ammo with that, you're going to be looking with the assault rifle. And assault rifle is just really good because you can also get the dataless part. I highly recommend getting this because it gives you 2 ammo reserves with this, which is very, very helpful for mobbing. It also just means you have to look for ammo crates less. And then we have our Tediore pistols are also good for mobbing. If you want to know more in depth about the different parts and what to take, make sure to look at the Mobalytics website on either mine or Joe's. I basically just took what he said, so that will help a lot as well. And then for the rep kit, we're going with the good old triple bypass for the multiple charges, as we use that with caffeine, as this cuts our cooldown by 1/4, which is really good. And then we have 100% access go cooldown rate, which is really good on this, just for helping cycle Onslaughter even more, because we do go force of nature, and that's a huge thing with bossing and works well with mobbing as well. So we want to make sure that's kept up. You could go damage parts instead of cooldown parts if you wanted to. I just don't do it here. And then for the grenade, we are using the Slippy. This is purely because of getting my touches death for kill skills. Like, there's only red. And then we also get Smelter on our class mod to help keep up our Forge skill. And then for the class mod right now, I really only go Forge Master. It's just really good on this build, especially for bossing. Getting the points to cycle our Forge skill is really nice, and just that second Forge skill charge, because we aren't going Stormcutter, which means we aren't going Fist of Stone. So it's not easy to keep up our Forge skill. We take those points and we put them in the green tree, which is super helpful for shielded enemies and bosses, where I normally would really like getting this, especially Stormcutter, but this bonus element here is just too good to give up. I do want to mess with a class mod with points into Lightning Rod, because I got one that also had points into Bolt Action +5, but I really want to mess with this with the crit chance, and see if it'll proc with Tediores. If it does, that could be really good for shielded bossing, but right now we just go with Forge Master. And when I go over the gameplay loop, you'll see why Forge Master is so good for bossing. The passives you want to look on here is just the normal, like all damage, gun damage, elemental damage, and then any utility stuff like cooldown or crit chance that could help here would be really nice. And then for the shield for mobbing, we go the fireworks. This is really good for helping keep up our ammo, because if we just get one kill on an enemy, fireworks go around and we'll kill a couple other enemies. The parts on the shield, I don't really know what to do, but for the like shield resist here, that will be the element of the missiles. So you just want to get a couple. I've just only got this cryo one right now, but it's been treating me good. Honestly, maybe getting like a sharp one could be good, because there's a lot of shielded enemies, so this would at the very least strip the shields. Then for bossing, I don't have a good one right now, but Watch for Dinner will be good with a Siphon part. Siphon will be good for survivability as well. So this is also just good for survivability too, even without the Siphon part, because it just gets overshield easily. And then when you have overshield, you have shock damage. This shock damage, though we do have shock bonus element elsewhere, is still really good, especially with Origo, which is just full on shield, but this will still be good for stripping quickly the shield bar of our other raid bosses, or just bosses in general. So we just have to worry about the main health bar. Then for the enhancement, we are looking for Banger. This is a 50% pure mode, additive with nothing. So this is what you want to look out for, is that you do have the other parts. I don't know if I have them on me. I don't. But the other ones are pretty good. There's like Restore Ammo, which I think could be good with the shotgun, as that will help keep up our ammo, but only if you get a legendary with good passive. Otherwise, you're just going to want to stick with this. In the write-up, there will also be more in depth on what's good for Tediore enhancements. I think there's also a replicator one, but that's again just if you can get a legendary with Banger and then the replicator part. And then for the passives, you're looking for gun damage and mag size. And then also what would be really nice is reload speed. Gun damage is in this slot here, a pure molt besides with the high caliber. Also weapon type will be good. So if we get assault rifle, shotgun, pistol, or any other type of Tediore part, that will be really good as well. So we're looking for gun damage, assault rifle, shotgun, pistol, etc. Those will be a category that's only additive with high caliber. And then we also have mag size. Mag size boosts are also a pure multi damage, so that is very sought after. And then reload speed is just good because it gives DPS. We're reloading faster, so we're getting to our next reload again. And then for the firmware, we will want 2 bullets to spare for the increased magazine size. Then we will want 2 points into high caliber for the gun damage. And then right now I have heating up, but it was actually just found that Get Thrown, as its ordnance damage applies to Tediore chucks for a pure molt. So that is going to probably be better. There's also the option of airstrike, which gives increased splash radius. So that will also be something to keep in mind. All right, and then for the skill tree, we are going Onslaughter. First, it gives a fire bonus element, which will be really good for applying to our Tediores. It also gives movement speed, which will go into Bullet Train, which gives us gun damage, which goes into Tediores. And then the augment we go is Force of Nature. This is for our single target, When Onslaughter is active, gun damage dealt will prime them for duration and will detonate when they die or damaged by a forge skill. This is a double dip, so this is going to be huge damage. It takes that gun's impact and then multiplies it by the action skill formula, and also benefits from skill damage and is fire. And this will deal for millions of damage. This is most noticeable when we are against flesh enemies, but still does a decent chunk against the other raid bosses as well. Now you will see that because we are using like shooting guns and we also have to shoot to first reload, we may hit the enemy getting force of nature stacks, but this is actually the stacks that will detonate are the 10 strongest stacks, not just the last 10 stacks. So even if you get 10 stacks, you shouldn't proc force of nature until you've done a couple more reloads. Most noticeably in bossing, you should wait. It will be a lot more noticeable from like maybe a million to a couple million. So you'll definitely want to wait on that. And then we go Horde Cleave just for a range activation of our forge skill for detonations. Usually you would go Stormcutter, but we're not reaching it in this build, so we don't go there. So we just have this. It does freeze enemies, but that's really not the purpose of this build. It's pretty cool, and we should get a melee bonus for our Slippy, which is also pretty cool, but it, again, not the focus at all. It's just for range because it's better than just using the hammer. But first, I'm going to start in the blue tree. First, we go 3 the Thrill just for some nice survivability. We have Scorched Kairos, which gives us increased magazine size, which again is a pure mult to our reload damage. So getting this is very important. Ordnance damage here is doing nothing. Technically, it applies to our Slippy, so that's getting a little bit more damage. Then in Blue Tree, we're getting Get the Let Out, as this will give us increased reload speed, which is increased DPS. And then the effect is doubled after a detonation, which should count for force of nature detonation. I honestly haven't paid attention. But then we have Bolt Action, which applies to our guns, including our reloads, and benefits from skill damage and will help stack our force of nature. So this is just really good to have and really noticeable for shielded enemies. Then red tree, this is going to be our big chunk here. First, we go Impetus. This gives us shield recharge rate and movement speed. Again, movement speed will go to help a bullet train. Then we have What Burns Within, which gives us increased fire damage, which will buff Force of Nature and our Onslaughter. Then we go Gut Punch, as this will double dip into Force of Nature, making it a really good bonus element. Then we go Metal Urge, which gives us increased action skill cooldown rate. I do take 1 point and put it into Forge and Steel. You could also take 1 point out of Bloodlust and put it back into Metal Urge, as that will give us an extra 10% cooldown rate, which Amon loves. I'll probably change it, honestly, when I respec again. And then we just go all in right tree. We're overspecking with Bloodlust just because more reload speed's really nice, and some life steal, which I don't know how it exactly works, but for now it's good. I would change this to also put a point into Brine Break if you need some extra survivability, as when your shield breaks, you will get a Cryonova that will freeze enemies. It does have a long cooldown though, and you only need to go 1 point. Then we have Berserk. This will give us a cryo bonus element, which applies to our guns and melee. So this will also apply to our Slippies. Something to keep in mind is that Berserk does not benefit from gun damage, but it does indirectly kind of, because it benefits from I am a gun, where it says you gain action skill damage based off of gun damage, but it's actually skill damage. So this will also boost Berserk. So it kind of does, kind of doesn't. So that's just something to keep in mind. But then we boost this even more from 30% to up to 210% bonus element with There Is Only Red. It also restores Berserk duration. Even though activating our Forge skill isn't a problem, just keeping it longer is really nice, as well as just having a huge bonus element there. And then we go My Touch is Death, where whenever Damon deals melee damage, there's a chance to activate kill skills, which is why we have the Slippy, which will be proccing There's Only Red, as well as Smelter from our class mod, and then also Impetus, making this very helpful to have. And then for the specialization, first off, we will want now with caffeine, reduce action skill cooldown whenever a rep kit is activated, cutting it by a fourth. It's not action skill cooldown rate, just cuts it by a fourth, which is huge for Amon. And then we have bullet train where Amon can now hip fire while sprinting, but for the real thing it's going to be is for the gun damage when moving. You could also go riddle you this instead. Or just have it added on. And then we have I am a gun, taking the gun damage from here and any other gun damage we have to put into making it skill damage. It says add skill damage, but actually skill damage. So it will apply to a couple things here. It will apply to Berserk, it will apply to Force of Nature, and it will apply to Bolt Action. So this just makes it really good and noticeable. Then they have the best defense as our fourth slot, but there are a couple options you could have. But I go it here because this damage dealt double dips into Force of Nature. But you could go into Riddle You This, as it just means even more gun damage that'll apply to our chucks, as well as going to I Am a Gun. I haven't mathed out what's better. Keep that in mind, because this gun damage and this all damage is additive, but this gun damage doesn't double dip into Force of Nature. Then the gameplay is very simple. It's kind of similar to Amon. You'll activate your action skill, you'll throw your slippies, then you'll reload a bunch, activate your forge skill, get the berserk bonus element. Gotta get away from this. And you're basically just chucking and moving and throwing your reloads. And then when bossing while you're doing this, you will activate your forge skill, and I think that was 4 million damage there. So that is really good for single target. And that's basically what you do. And then you'll see I'm low on ammo there, so I just swapped over here. And now I have another reserve. Or I can just swap to, say, like my pistol and get going there. Or my shotgun and get going there. So lots of options. And then when you're low on ammo, you're going to search for some ammo boxes. Because the ammo weighting is so high in this game, it's very easy to get ammo back. If you enjoyed the video, then make sure to leave a like and subscribe to the channel for more Borderlands 4 content, and consider becoming a member to support the channel and get videos early. This build is very similar to my Amon build, which is a gun Amon build, and with a few tweaks, you could definitely run that with this gear. Would probably just be a little less powerful than this build, but just means my do-it-all gun build is even more do-it-all. Again, don't forget to check out JoeForLong's video and write-up, which will be linked in the description, as this wouldn't be possible without him. Also, don't forget to check out the Mobalytics build write-up in the description, as it is always the most up-to-date version of the build. This could be minor tweaks or huge reworks. I hope you guys enjoyed, and I will see you guys next time. Peace.